Welcome to Weekly Sketchbook. I am your host, Tyler Curtis, recording as always with RC.Nelson. Today on episode 8, we have a very special guest named Ed Steckley. Ed is an illustrator living in New York that has worked all over the industry, including in Mad Magazine, and specializes in caricatures. Ed and RC have known each other for years, and he was an absolutely fantastic guest. Now, here is Ed Steckley.
So I am excited to have you on, man. I'm thrilled because it's like we've known each other for probably 20 years, but it's just great to bring you on because it's your work is inspiring, and I've always admired your talent, so I wanted to show the world.
Well, I wanted to appreciate you scraping the bottom of the barrel and getting, yeah. It's all uphill from here. I've been a freelance illustrator for just around 30 years. I started when I was -1, and for years I drew caricatures in theme parks, and just started doing that in 1992. And just kind of eventually just plugged away at my freelance career, always wanting to get into Mad Magazine. That was always kind of the motivation, especially when I was young. And I got that. That's cool. And now I'm just happy to be able to be just a schmuck who draws for a living.
Yeah.
The old days of putting together a portfolio and schlepping it around the city and dropping it off for art directors and picking it up a week later, that's done.
Yeah.
What I find is that pretty much every major gig I've gotten, and I'm talking about like the stuff that is continuous, I've gotten from meeting the right people. I was in the International Society of Caricaturists. It used to be the NCN, the National Caricatures Network. I was on the board of that. Met a lot of people there. That's exactly how I got into Mad Magazine, because we had Sam Viviano, who was the art director at the time. He came by and did a talk, and I schmoozed him up as best I could. That was in 1999 or 2000, and it took years after that, but that was my introduction. And later on, I joined the National Cartoonist Society, and I do a lot of work for those guys. And the children's book series I do now, I can directly trace back to my involvement in the Cartoonist Society. Yeah. That's a long way of answering that very simple question.
No, I mean, it's great.
You're welcome.
Thank you. So yeah, we could just jump into this presentation deck. Let's see.
Okay. Yeah, this is just the last couple of years at Mad Magazine, before they decided to go to all reprint material last July. They gave me some cool stuff. This is a 2-page spread about this. I think this is the 20 dumbest things of 2019. And this was that Boeing airplane scandal. I don't know. I don't know who that guy is.
Right.
But it's kind of a takeoff on the classic Mad Magazine cover from, I think, the late 50s with Alfred Frankenstein building a model of Alfred. That's why that guy has his tongue sticking out. I kind of pushed back on that. It's like I got reference of this dude's face, and they wanted this expression, and I just went, ugh, he doesn't make that. He's a really happy, bright, white tooth, big creepy eyes, and no, they wanted to kind of match that. I went, okay, you're the boss. These are all drawn on Strathmore 500 series, probably 3-ply, not vellum finish, the regular finish, and I used a dip pen. My dip pen choices kind of vary, but and I ink in a sepia that I kind of mix myself and scan it in, and these are colored digitally. This is the kind of stuff I love doing for Mad. This was the back cover. Just a series of gags, It's just classic little scenes. This is, in my mind, this is classic Mad Magazine.
Mhm.
You know, if it's not going to be a movie parody or a TV parody, it's these one-off gags that are kind of evergreen and timely, or I mean, evergreen and aren't really specific to like any time period other than Halloween. So I got to draw just goofy people, you know, and I don't really have much experience with that because everything I do, if it's for advertising, your people can't look that goofy.
Right.
And for Mad, this wasn't all that often where I would just have to make up characters, and it's harder than you think, actually. You know, sometimes it's hard not to just draw circles for eyes. You know,
Is it out of your head, or
What's
did
the
you
next
have
one?
references?
Generally, these are out of my head. Sometimes I'll go to like Getty Images and do a search for dumpy parents, and I'll get some sparks of inspiration. But that's about it. This is the first one I did for the when the Mad offices moved out to L.A. and subsequently they got a whole new staff to run Mad. That was an interesting time. And the guy in the purple suit, well, actually, I'll say this is a 2-page spread, obviously, about the lesser known stars on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. So all of those are like people that it's a funny bit. Some are men's names, some are women's names. But
Right.
I said, well, who should these people, who am I drawing? And I think it was Susie in the blue hair. She's the art director. She said, just make it up. I said, how about if I just draw the new Mad staff? Because I think this might have even been the first issue that they did when they moved out there. I said, great. So I had to kind of troll these people's Facebooks to find out what a lot of them looked like. I knew Bill in the purple suit. I knew him well. He was the editor.
Yeah.
But the rest I had to look up, and it's always hard to draw caricatures of people you're not really that familiar with, because later on I got to know a few of them, and I went, oh man, those pictures I had of you were terrible. This is a fun one. The people at Mad got wind that I was doing these Rube Goldberg books, and they were trying to think of who would be the best person to do this. Another in the Mad 20, dumbest things of the year. This was the year of the putting kids in cages thing, and it was also the year that Donald Trump did that Instagram post on Cinco de Mayo of himself eating a taco salad. It's like, oh man, I think that was before he was elected, I guess, or
Right.
I don't remember if it was after or what, but it's like, oh man. So there's the square on the board there has him eating his taco salad with the thumbs up, saying how much he likes Hispanics. And so this was a funny one. This one was just fun because it was great to draw a Rube Goldberg machine that I didn't have to write, and I also didn't have to double check to make sure it would actually work. I'm sure I had reference of the Mousetrap game, but I had to make some changes to it. That's Mitch McConnell is in yellow on the lower left, diving into a bucket of liberals' tears. Everything in here is just a funny gag. And again, I didn't write it; I just drew it. I had to do the layouts and all that. And then the ice guy in the back there, just such a bizarre. This one got a lot of attention, actually. This is the first actual Alfred I got to draw for Mad.
Nice.
So that was a thrill for me.
Yeah.
And they're particular. You don't half-ass Alfred. When you draw Alfred, it has to be based on the original Norman Mingo painting of Alfred from 1958 or whatever. So I got to do an Alfred. That was just kind of a neat milestone for me. Yeah, and William Shakespeare, Apdater. This is if he was, using Tinder and all that. These are all drawn traditionally, the old-fashioned way, but colored on the computer. This is a fun one. This is one of my favorites, actually. Real-life escape rooms. I had to look up what an escape room was. I hadn't heard that term. And now they're all over the place. They wanted kind of a crypt keeper narrator on this, so I'm not sure if it was my idea to come up to make it Dr. Gutborkian. Yeah, so
That's
this
awesome.
is just like me drawing funny people, trying out different stuff, trying
That's
to
awesome.
sell a gag. A fun one. Bunch of naked guys in the bottom of that one. Yeah, that's lovely.
Yeah, I'm sure you have.
I like to
plenty
throw
of references.
cameos of my.
I've
to
always
throw cameos of
hoped
my
that
friends in this
one day I'd have a cameo, but whatever.
Yeah, well,
Be
we'll
friend.
see. We'll see where the wind blows.
Yeah.
I don't know. Judging from that, I don't
Next
think I
one?
want a cameo. Thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I need to be fully dressed.
good choice. I knew there had to be someone smart on this podcast. This is fun.
Nice.
Political action figures. So this one was a lot of fun.
See, that looks like so much fun.
This is one of the things that it's more of a comment on Mad, but Mad used to, they never really wanted to take a side politically, and I always liked that. Everyone kind of knew where they stood, but it wasn't obvious. And I think once they got the new editorial staff, it became really obvious.
Right.
These guys are big lefties. I mean, that AOC in the lower right and Kamala up on the left.
Yeah.
And everybody else is a monster, except for even Bernie's goofy.
Right.
Look at that Mitch McConnell, that Dr. Terrapin. God, that was fun to draw. I've drawn Mitch so much I don't need to look at him anymore. But that Sarah Huckabee Sanders, that's one of my drawings that actually makes me laugh. That doesn't happen much. Just this is an old Mad gag from years ago that Al Jaffe wrote, where someone vandalizes some other ad slogan on a billboard.
Yeah.
Makes another statement about it. It's just fun. I love doing this one. And again,
great,
these are all drawn traditionally, scanned in and colored on the computer.
Yeah.
I had a lot of fun with that one. But I always like things like this, where it's just a straightforward caricature, that just kind of tells a simple story. This is one that was everything on that upper half was all text, and I think it was a top 10 list. And I just like doing this stuff. This one was drawn all digitally, I remember. But I just like this. It's it's not at the time I thought the character was great. The more I look at it, the more I become familiar with Ivanka, Ivana, the daughter.
Right.
Just go, I would have gone somewhere else with that. I knew where I was going with it. I had a statement to make, which is what a character is supposed to do. But I think I would go back and try to throw my wife into this one. She's the one on the left. This is when Bezos took over. Bezos took over Whole Foods. Yeah, he's so creepy.
It is.
But there's a lot of gags in that basket down there. This is from the first book. This is later on in the book, and I'm all about where I was in my painting and inking skills. I really, really labor at inking and painting, and and just now I think I've gotten good enough at it where I can pull it off. Especially inking, it's very hard to do, but I really enjoy it. And I want to get better at it. And the book I just finished is all black and white, and it's 80-something drawings, just spot illustrations, some are a page, some are a quarter page. But this, on the other hand, these all had to be laid out. This is how Rue brushes his teeth. And he's not even on model in this. But A leads to B, leads to C, leads to D. Kids love this stuff, and these books are great. If you read it, I wrote The Machine. There's kind of a team of us that would look at it and say, if some of my devices are a little bit too out there, they'll kind of say, reel it in, But I think this one was good all the way through. There's nothing really crazy in it. There used to be a radio where that beach ball is poking the books right in the middle by J and I. There used to be a radio up there, and the radio would do something. But then someone at the last minute said, you can't have the radio right above the tub. Oh, shit. So now the radio is on top of the radiator, and it's not doing anything. It's just there.
Right.
So, yeah, these are fun. Each of these, this is from the first book, and it's just, I love doing it, of course, and but I didn't quite have a method to it yet. Now I've done a lot more of these things, and I know where to start, I know where to end, and my skills at this stuff have gotten a lot better.
Yeah,
and I'm really glad they did.
How many books are you in? Have you done with Rube?
3 are in the can. There's 2 more that I'm about to start another one, actually any day now, because I wrapped a book 2 weeks ago, and I'm kind of just taking out a few small jobs that I agreed to do when I wasn't, neck deep in books. But I'll start the next one. Actually, in a week or so, I think,
Okay.
and I'll have until July, I think, to do that. I'm not sure if I have any samples from the first picture book in here. Go to the next slide. Oh yeah, this is a fun one. Yeah, that's just how he sets the clock forward to get out of class a little bit early. This one, if you see the book, there's 15
I actually
of these
have the book.
machines, and there's, I know you do. You have questionable taste in literature. Yeah, this is just fun, kids and bunnies, and I like drawing animals a lot. Just all the funny parts to a Rube Goldberg machine. It's harder to do that than you'd think, because you can only use for all the parts to a Rube Goldberg machine. You can't reuse stuff, you
Right.
know. And I've already found a couple times where it's like, oh, I did that in the book one. What's one, like a worm coming out of an apple, and the worm
Right.
sees its reflection, or that causes something else. Like a couple of things, like, oh man, I already did that. And
So you
but
couldn't
now I
use-
just say, oh, it's so I can give kids an Easter egg, and they,
Right.
totally lie.
So you
I
can't
can
use
use what?
like number blocks or alphabet blocks anymore because you used it here?
Nope,
Oh,
not
wow.
going to. Nope.
Do you fear of like running out
Is
of
it-
ideas? I mean, like there's only
Well, you
so
better
many
believe it.
like I mean, it has to be getting
Yeah.
thin because it's so complex, right? So
Yeah,
that's crazy.
yeah. I don't think about that. If I did, I'd probably freak out more.
Sorry.
Yeah. No, but if I get lost, there's always something funny. Like if I
Right.
really get stuck and I'm in the middle of building a machine, I'll go take a walk with a pad of paper and look around, and all of a sudden, after I do that, the next machine will have a traffic cone in it, or a
Yep.
fire hydrant, or whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, that's the cover of the first book.
Mhm.
Yeah, I'm not allowed to share the next two covers yet because they're not released, so it's a
Yeah.
drag. Your timing is terrible. Oh yeah, here's some images from the new book. So the picture, that was the picture book we were looking at. This is the middle reader book. This is for older kids. So these are, this is a proper story with a lot of words in it. You guys would hate it. So these, help to, convey the story. It's a great story, actually. I didn't write it. It's an
Yeah.
author by the name of Brandon Snyder, who's not close from me, not far from me, actually. But these are just some, fun drawings that are just. I think this is a half page, and they're about, I think it's 7x5 size novel.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Next one. Yeah, this is a great one. I like taking images. This isn't cropped. This will be cropped in the end, but I love being able to harken back to images that inspired me. And I'm a big fan of Norman Rockwell.
Mhm.
So anyone who knows Norman Rockwell probably knows the For Freedom series, and this was his freedom of speech. That's a character. This character's introduction in the book, and I just wanted to use. I knew the scenario of the scene, and I just kind of went, oh, this is my chance to finally, reference a Rockwell.
Yeah.
And I do that a lot. In these kinds of books, I've learned that something will just kind of strike me, and I'll just go, oh, I think I can. I guess homage might be the word, or
Right.
blatantly ripping off, however you want to look at it. Next one. Yeah. Oh, this one killed me.
Holy cow.
People are listening to this are just going to be throwing their shoes through the window right now. This is a 2-pager. This is the only 2-pager in the book. And again, it gets cropped. This is my scan, literally. But there's a lot of Easter eggs in this one. I don't want to give. Do either of you guys know what the source was for this? If you do, I'll be really impressed. Yeah, silence.
No,
yeah.
I don't think I do.
Yeah, so I'm not going to say it here because the book hasn't come out yet. So I want people to. I'm really proud of this one because there's a lot of. I did this one between Christmas and New Year's 2020. I knew I needed extra time for this spread. It's about. I think this is 50%. I don't know. It might be 15 by maybe 15 tall by whatever 20 wide or something like that. But this one took a long time.
It's incredible, man.
And I'm
I
really
love it.
proud of this one because it's a direct homage. I mean, this is a scene that is described somewhat in the book. It's a chaotic living room basically,
Mhm.
but with old Rube Goldberg stuff. But I knew what I was referencing, but I also had to put some Easter eggs to what I was referencing. So there's kind of Easter eggs inside Easter eggs in this one. And I can't wait to see it in print because I know it's going to be a lot smaller. So hopefully
Yeah.
things won't get lost too much. But yeah, that was fun.
That's awesome.
This is the same type of thing. This is a one-pager of a convention floor. It's well, a bunch of Rube Goldberg machines, and every one of them works. I know you can't see this, but I think there's about 6 machines in this spread, and they all work.
How long did it
That's
take
the
you to
hard
do
part.
this?
This one, I probably spent, all in all, with layouts, probably a week on this one. There's a number of these in this book that are like this. There's a lot of other ones that are just a quarter page establishing shot of a face, So they're not all like this, but these ones, these take a lot longer. But if they have a machine in it, no one actually said this to me, but I just kind of wanted to get ahead of everybody because kids love these Rube Goldberg machines.
Mhm.
If they don't work, someone will let you know.
Right.
Even if it's a drawing, someone would say, I'm not talking about like, how could you get a chicken and lay an egg right there?
Yeah.
Not that. I'm talking like things like physics
Yeah.
and all that, and what's going on. And this wouldn't happen because when water boils, it blah 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 blah.
Right.
Kids will absolutely call me out on errors, and they've done it. So this one has a number of machines in it. I was dreading it from day one because I knew this is later on in the story too. God, what am I going to do when I get to that one? And I just dove in and did it. There's a couple in the middle on the right. I was like, there's entire machines.
How many machines did you
so
say?
there is. If I remember right, it's kind of hard to see on my screen, but I think there's 5. I think there's 5 entire machines, and then there's like bits and pieces of other machines like in the background. Like there's some juggling polo balls in the back and something else is like a tennis racket or something like that. So there's a lot of stuff in the background that doesn't have to work, but the stuff in the foreground absolutely has to be able to be explained, even though there's no explanation for it. This is just me.
Yeah.
I know, I've met the audience that reads these books, and God bless them. They if something's not right,
Yeah.
I'm the first one to hear about it. So whenever I build these things, I got to make sure that even if it's improbable that they would work in real life, I have to at least make an effort.
Right.
And I do. I've only had one machine actually constructed. Pittsburgh Art Museum 2 years ago did a Rube Goldberg exhibit. And part of that was artwork from the first kids book, the first picture book.
That had to be pretty cool.
They had a guy come in and actually take one of my machines and make it work, build it. And
did you actually see it in person?
Flattering. Yeah, you bet.
Really cool.
Got my picture taken with it. I took a selfie with it. This guy nearly pulled his hair out trying to, figure out how is this? What? Everything is. The kids pull a string, and then like everything is kind of hydraulics, and it's all programmed and all that.
Right.
And LED screens, but yeah, it's, everything generally works. Again, and if something doesn't work in one of my Rube machines, it's because I'll blame someone else, but it's always me. And again, some kid will absolutely seek me out. And go, these wheels are spinning like things like pulleys, and if something's attached to a pulley and that spins another wheel and does this and that. It's really easy to get one of those wheels turning the wrong way. Like if there's if a pulley goes through this and that and it turns a sail, and the sail has to be, or the sail's pushed and that turns a pulley and that turns another pulley. You got to make sure all those wheels turn the right way.
Right.
Because
I mean, it's engineering essentially.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I spend a lot of time trying to figure out if I could make any machine that would be a perpetual motion machine, because a lot of my machines have back and forth movements that are really hard to do. it's really easy to do a machine part that just has one movement. You know,
Right.
you roll a ball down a track and that hits a book and the book falls. I mean, that's easy. Getting things to something that can repeat and go back and forth. There's only so many ways you can do that. You can have a peg sticking off of a wheel, you know, and
Yeah.
that spins and goes back and forth and back and forth. But I'm still trying to find new ways to do a back and forth machine. It's really tough. You know, gravity only
I think
you only get so much gravity. Animals pulling things only goes so far. Yeah,
Yep.
sorry.
I think the
This
cover
is,
of the next book, instead of illustrated by Ed Steckley, it needs to be engineered by Ed Steckley.
Yep.
Yeah,
Well, and I see this
yeah. I
stuff.
think I'd have to change my rate.
Probably. I see like
Yeah.
it is concept art though, right? I mean, like the true definition of concept art. It has to work. You're telling you're laying out the scene and but you're also like building a machine, you know.
Mhm.
So
Yeah, that's why I'm not as happy with. Well, I'm happy with the first book, but I didn't quite have a grip of it all yet. Now I know a lot about. I know way too much about things like physics and mechanics and engineering, but that
cool.
just comes from simply doing it and having to solve a problem,
Right.
you know. But I also like to throw Easter eggs in there.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of little cues in here that, like, only maybe one person I know will get. You know, I love doing that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And then I look at it and I go, I would have changed this layout. This layout's not right. I do that stuff too.
Right.
I think it's the last one, right?
Yep.
Oh.
It's the last one.
Count your blessings. That's the last one.